Okay.
All right. So hello and welcome everyone. Today is May the 18th, 2022. This is our Whole Life Healing Program, covering All Lives Matter with Dr. Alex and Dr. David. And my name is Johanna. I'm going to be assisting today. But before we hear from them, I want to share that this presentation is for education and informational purposes only. And since we're going to be talking about issues of health and well-being, we want to make sure that you understand this information is not intended to heal or cure anything. Everything in the presentation are the opinions of Alex Loyd or Dr. David Peck, myself, or maybe even you if you choose to share. You should always check with a licensed healthcare provider about any specific health concerns you may have. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to David and Alex. The floor is yours.
Okay.
Thank you, Johanna, and welcome. I'm going to chime in a few minutes about our focus topic for today, but first I'm going to send it to David. He has 2 or 3 things that I think are terrific that we need to take a look at today. David?
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Alex. So first of all, I want to send out a big thank you to Alex and for clarifying something. Now, this is something that went back. And this is a personal thing. I just want to tell this to people so that this is an example of me, discovering something about myself that I could do something about with healing code and et cetera. So it deals with something that goes way back actually with Johanna. The first time that she was doing codes, I asked for a code myself for the fear of success. And so the next time that we addressed it with Alex pointed out that it's related to expectation and the fear that basically, that an increasing amount of expectation will be put on me and I won't be able to satisfy that. So, right. That's the fear. So I realized that as a result of some interaction with a music friend, this weekend, that I grew up in an extremely severe environment of expectation.
Yeah.
So now, it was, I mean, come on, when you're the good boy syndrome and everything, you just got to do everything perfect all the time. Anyway, so, this is something that I can work on, and I'm working on it and I am really hopeful. I think it's going to be great for me, honestly. Okay, so that's the first one. So thank you very much, Alex, because without that clarification of why I have a fear of success, I might never be able to, address it clearly. So, this is, real key, okay. So the second, again,
you're welcome.
Yeah, please.
You're welcome. But the real one is thank you, God, for me.
Okay. All right. Totally accept that. So here's the second thing. Now, this is very controversial. This is just a statement out of the blue. Okay. But it's related to truth. And that's why I think it's important to state. And it's the concept of a double entendre, which is a double meaning, or also innuendo. Okay. Now, yes, innuendo. This is big, and people like to refer to this as over communicating. And I understand that it's occurring, but in my opinion, and we could talk about the origins of it also. Opinions of that. That's not really that important, I don't think, at this point. But I believe that because it represents a deception and sort of a hiding in plain sight kind of thing, where there is built into it a mechanism for plausible deniability and non-accountability, that it is actually a satanic practice.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, satanic practice. So that's my opinion. Okay, I said it was going to be controversial, but I wanted to say that because I wanted to clear the air on that. So I'm not looking for any responses necessarily, but happy to entertain any of them. So, and then the third thing is now the focus topic for today. And that is, so I made a list for last week or 2 weeks ago of different topics. I just had, trying to generate some ideas of what to do. And came up with like 5 things. We did one last week. And then Alex picked this number 2 on the list. And that's going to be put downs, systemic put downs. And I have something to say about that in the meantime. But the point that I wanted to make, and I made this to Alex earlier, is that we a couple of weeks ago, we did a summary when Alex wasn't here on all the topics that we had covered thus far. And honestly, like 80% or more of them were from the humility category. And the 5 that I put on my list this time that Alex picked from the second one today, also they're basically all from the humility. So I'm like, what's going on with the humility category? And Alex is, that's basically the secret, area, that's key. So I guess it is because, learning the truth about ourselves, and that we don't other people don't have to think well of us, for us to be okay. So that that's the topic for today. And I can go ahead and give my own quick story. Okay, I mean, this goes back to the Pex character again. I think I told this to people before, that came from ancestral, but it's full of judgmentalism, hypercriticalism. I mean, it's just not a good place to be. Honestly, I'm sorry. That was my whole life actually being there. But it's very much about putting other people down, and the gossiping that goes down. But the source of it is basically, when I put someone else down and judge them, oh, look how he can't play the saxophone, he doesn't play the chord changes right or whatever. Supposedly it's going to make me feel better, and I guess it does make me feel better for a moment. Until I struggle with myself again. Anyway, so the Pex character is definitely that's a big one for me and I don't nearly do it as much, not nearly. And when Alex talks about his numbers before and after, I have almost exactly the same numbers. Honestly, I was like -6s, 7s, all maybe a -3 or 4 on one category, but some of them 8s, and now they're all pluses. They're all like way up there. I mean, honestly, but thank you again. For that fear of success thing is going to be great for me. Honestly, yeah.
Okay. Cool. I love your thing about the double entendre that it's a double meaning for plausible deniability. David, I have never had that thought in my life, and you are right. It is. And you talked about the satanic. I would just say it makes it sinister. That is a sinister attitude. I'm going to put somebody down with a double entendre so that I can have plausible deniability. That is sinister. That is a sinister attitude. But how many of us have done that? And how many of us still do that? Where I was going to go, not knowing you were going to say that, David, I mean, this is gold stuff. That double entendre to me is gold. But where I was going to go is the put down thing is all about, either inferiority or superiority, which is the humility category you were talking about. But it's also about judging, which you also said. And a little bit of confession here. I was raised in a very strict legalistic religious home, okay? And I'm ashamed of this today. But but maybe somebody can learn from it. I've tried to learn from it, okay? When I was a teenager, okay, if I saw a man with an earring, bad man. If I saw a man with real long hair, bad man. If I saw, I mean, it was unbelievable. Certain types of facial hair, almost all the way down to what the clothing the people wear. I mean, it's unbelievable, okay? And I think some of that comes from being made fun of myself growing up. When I was overweight and kids would yell when I was in junior high, "Hey, Chunky," across the schoolyard. And let me address that for the double meaning thing, because there was more than one time when a teacher heard that and then would see me, the object of it, and they could read my body language, even though I was trying to laugh and act like it didn't bother me. the teacher could tell that it did. And there were several times the teacher intervened and went over to the person and said, why did you say that? Or please don't say that. Or that is very hurtful to say things like that to people. But I'll never forget the response. And it was the same response every time it happened from the perpetrator. And it was this: oh, I was just joking. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. I was just joking. All right. And then so that sort of stumps the teacher. And were you really? Yeah, I was just joking. I like Alex. I mean, we're in third period together, whether that was true or not. Okay. Right. Well, then the teacher is sort of pushed away and stumped, because the person has just said, well, what I did may not have been the right thing to do, but my intentions were good. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't just dismiss that. All right. Because intention is everything. If you followed me, and in my belief, intention is everything. But here's the thing. Every one of those I knew about, they were lying, because they did it before, they did it again, and I would hear them talking to friends or other people, making fun of me to that person as well. Okay. And then it hurt, and it hurt bad. And I mean, I would go home and cry sometimes. It hurt so bad. But the worst part of it was not that. The worst part of it was a couple of years later, when I had gotten into fitness and everything and was no longer fat. And I found myself making fun of a couple of other people, which is something I had never done in my life until that had happened to me. Okay. And I know that's where it came from. Anger begets anger. Fear begets fear. Okay. And let me just tie the humility thing back, and then we'll go to the treatment after Dave shares anything else he wants to add. Trying to think of how to say this. C.S. Lewis, who's incredibly famous author, one of the most famous authors in all of Christendom, and several of his books been made into movies. What was the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and several others. Well, C.S. Lewis wrote in his writings that the most threatening thing to the world of evil and sinister actions is humility. That if a person develops humility, basically the evil won't have a chance with them, because that's the button evil pushes to get into you, which is either inferiority or superiority, but in 100% of cases, it's believing a lie about yourself. Okay, so where are you on that? Where are you on judging? The double entendre thing, that's very close to passive aggressive, where, like, oh, I was just joking, but no, you weren't. You were really wanting to hurt. So you're making it appear like it could go either way to give you plausible deniability. Okay, but really, the negative fear-based thing that's making you respond that way is inside of you. It's not anything in them. The person you're putting down, the reason you're putting them down has nothing to do with them or what you say as the put down. It has to do with your own inferiority or superiority. You get rid of that, you won't want to put people down anymore. And you won't have to try to stop. You'll just stop. That's what happened to me. Once I healed the wounds of those people making fun of me and putting me down and being passive aggressive and double entendres, once that was healed in me, I stopped doing it. I wasn't trying to, it just stopped. Okay. So, Dave, you want to add anything to that? And then we'll get to the intervention.
Okay, sure. I'll just add to that is that with the you said, Alex, you said something a minute ago about how that inferiority, superiority is basically what I want to say is that the humility class, the fact that humility class is so important is also, I believe, also used in order to essentially a form of mind control in a way, and brainwashing, in that if you can trigger a person, or if you sort of focus on their emotional vulnerabilities in terms of the humility, then you can get them emotionally charged about something. And so, as a result of that, I see that sort of as the mentality of group hate. If you get a whole group of people to be so emotional about, the fact that he's like this or that, you can have them all act on them, on that. So anyway, so that, this is, I think, a really important point that, Alex, brought up in terms of susceptibility.
I've got to add something else after you say that.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're watching this, I mean, just think about a couple of things. Okay. If you are born Muslim, there's a 99% chance that you will grow up and believe and be a Muslim. If you are born a Christian, there's a 99% chance that you will grow up and be and act, to some extent, like a Christian, or at least that's your paradigm for yourself to be good or not so good. If you are brought up Jewish, if you are brought up atheist, if you are, fill in the blank, okay? So if you are a Christian and you hate Muslims, is that legitimate? Is that right to hate anybody? I would say no, but look at the Inquisition in Christianity, where for 400 years, they hated and tortured and executed anyone who did not do church their way. Look at the Muslim, strapping a bomb to their body and going and killing innocent people. Look at Germany and Hitler and the Holocaust and all these things, okay? If you come away with something from that, I hope it's this. I can't just believe what I believe. I've got to search and make sure that what I believe is the truth and love and truth based, not just keep going with it because that's the family I was born into, or the faith I was born into, or the ethnicity I was born into, or whatever. No, all that stuff can have you terribly wrong and living a life that's headed to failure and you don't even know it. Okay. So that's why it's so critical to, that quote, was it Einstein, Dave? The unexamined life is not worth living. Okay. Do you really know yourself as far as this stuff goes? Or are you just doing what comes naturally because of your prior programming? Well, that's really risky because the statistics say we lean 80%, the average person, to the negative from our faulty programming. So put downs, man, let's heal the source of those and start loving and building other people up and encouraging them and reaching to join hands and work together rather than attacking and being separate. So went a little too long, but you ready to go, Dave?
Yeah, Alex, I wanted to say I didn't
Yeah.
prepare a code. So if I could say the intention statement, if you would do the, do the all the codes. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So we pray, we request that all destructive, negative cellular memories, unhealthy habits and addictions, false limiting beliefs, any relationship issues related to systemic put downs, judgmentalism, be found, opened, and healed through love, light, truth, and God.
Amen. All right, let's start with left hand jaw, right hand Adam's apple. Left hand jaw, right hand Adam's apple. Relax, deep breaths from your stomach. Don't try to make anything happen. Get out of the way and allow it to happen. This is kindergarten stuff for your body and mind to do if they're just unimpeded. Let's go to both hands temples. Both hands temples. You can think about the problem. You can think about the solution. You can just relax and think about nothing. Which, by the way, is really hard to do if you've never tried. Left hand bridge, right hand Adam's apple. Try that sometime, to think 100% completely about nothing. Good luck with that.
Isn't that called meditation?
No, it's not. Meditation's the opposite. It's intensely focused on usually one thing.
I usually just empty my mind when I
Well, hey,
if you
can do that, then that's great. All right, both hands Adam's apple again.
Healing the systemic put downs.
Yeah, systemic put downs, either you putting other people down or them putting you down, for both. And most of us have experienced both at one time or another. Left hand bridge, right hand temple. Left hand jaw, right hand Adam's apple. All right, I take a deep breath. And then let's go straight into a custom trilogy. Start with acupuncture points, temples, collarbones, side of the hand, under the nose, under the arms, under the eyes, thumb, under the nose, sore spot, middle finger, eyebrows, middle of the chest, 9G, eyes open, closed, open, eyes down to the left, down to the right, circle your eyes, circle back the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's do left hand forehead, right hand brainstem. Left hand forehead, right hand brainstem. And by the way, on these positions, you can go longer if you want. That's fine. A few seconds shorter is not a big deal. But sometimes you'll just like, oh man, this feels really good. Cool, go longer. Go as long as you want. This isn't like medications that have side effects because they're poisons. This is organic. The body will use what it can and just get rid of the rest. Okay, let's activate governing and conception vessel 4 times, please. 4 times. This calms the central nervous system based on thousands of years of experience and research. Most of the best of it lately. All right, and then custom healing centers. And let's start with forehead. Please open and harmonize. Throat, please open and harmonize. Crown, please open and harmonize. Base or root, please open and harmonize. Heart, please open and harmonize. Under the belly button, please open and harmonize. Throat, please open and harmonize. Middle of the stomach, please open and harmonize. And then both hands over the heart. Slow, deep breaths. Let it process for a minute or so. It'll work at full strength for about 30 minutes. So you might check again in 30 minutes. Okay, Johanna, do we have any questions? Anything at all?
Yes, we do have one hand up, and this is April. April, your line is open.
Hey, April.
Hey, Dr. Alex.
Hi,
Hey,
April.
Dr. Johanna. So I have a question,
Yeah.
and it's probably not a question. It's probably just a dumb question.
There aren't any dumb questions.
Yeah.
No putting down
sometimes
yourself. No putting down yourself, April.
Oh, yes. Oh, great. Great.
Good.
Yes. Yes. That's, oh, man. Classic. Yes, April. Quit putting
I
yourself
had
down.
I had to write it down so I could use it for later. I wasn't able to participate.
That was classic.
So I've seen something on Facebook lately, and it was really interesting, and it's deviating a little bit from the topic, but it's maybe not too much, but it's about talking and how talking can be, and I've almost bought this thing a few times. I'm like, man, do I have the money for this? But it's, we can sometimes, we can say things, and the things that we're saying, we're not in love as we're saying it, or we're not in the, I don't know how you would say that, but or
Hating
if
or
we feel
shaming.
threatened somehow, we're kind of reactive in the way that we say it. So many times I've noticed lately, especially, what I'll do is, so if somebody is mad at me and I'm not really sure why, or whatever, or maybe the rumor mill or something, and I'm going, uh-oh, what happened here? I will just wait and like okay, let me see what, because I have, plenty of times, maybe most of the time, just said something or responded, and it did not go well.
Yes.
Oh.
April, can I interrupt a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, what you're saying is so important. And here's why. We talked about how about 80% of the stuff we've been talking about falls under humility. Your main weapon against humility is patience. It's
Wow.
okay, wait a minute. Before you respond, either in your thinking or speaking or acting, pause a second to make sure this is the love-based action, thought, or word. And if it's not, change it to what is. Okay. So many people, they just react. It happens. Bam, they react. Okay.
Yeah.
That is always fear-based and from a wrong goal. You need to respond. And the way you go from reacting out of superiority or inferiority is to respond to that in patience and push the pause button and then do some examination before your response rather than reaction.
Okay, and then on the other side of it, here's what else I've had happen. And for, maybe I also didn't know why, but I've had people go quiet on me.
Yeah.
And what it did was, it initially, you start questioning yourself, and then, you feel the pain. And then after a while, it seems like you come to a place of peace.
Yeah.
And you go, there's a reason, and I don't know what that is right now,
Yeah.
but God's got it.
That's right.
And sometimes it'll, you might hear a little bit from that person later, but it's hard to remember that they've also had pain in their
That's
life.
right. That's right. That's
I'm so
right.
focused on myself, I can't remember, and then I go, you know what? That person's as old as I am. Oh
Yeah.
man, they've been through something too.
Yeah, there's an ancient manuscript that says, whatever's in your heart, which I believe is what psychology calls the unconscious and subconscious, says whatever's in your heart, that is what's going to come out of your mouth. So if what's coming out of your mouth is a problem, that's not the problem. The problem's the heart. And so you got to go fix it there. And that's what we do. And I apologize. I've got to leave and get to the next meeting. Dave, I think you were about to say something. Go ahead and say it. And then Johanna's going to do custom codes. Love you, everybody. I got to run.
Bye.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks. I just wanted to add in that what he's doing, April, also in arming us is exactly what you said, which is basically to be able to understand why that other person is lashing out or whatever it is. Like the fact that, that if they're acting hostile in some way, the reason that they're doing it's not your fault. In other words, they're, because what you're seeing is that they're emotionally coming at you. So understand, at least for me, understanding why they're doing that helps me a lot.